Most people talk about Space Marine 2 for its co op and its multiplayer. I'm not here for any of that today. If you're a busy gamer who just wants to know whether the single player campaign alone is worth your time and money, this video is for you. What is up, everybody? F5 Dad here, 45 years of gaming, one very early alarm clock. And today, I'm going to be talking about Space Marine 2. And look, if you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss the next video, and let's do this. Most of the buzz around this game, and honestly, most of the content other channels make about it, focuses on the co op and the PvP side because that is honestly where the live ongoing community activity truly exists. I'm looking at single player games that will be worth your limited time, and the campaign here is fully playable solo from start to finish with AI companions typically filling in where normal humans could actually act as your squad mates. So, the question I actually want to answer is simple. If you have zero interest in co op or PvP and you just want a solid single player experience, does the campaign alone justify the price of admission? On another front, I did record a version of this game a while back that I honestly wasn't really happy with because it was kind of one of my first videos I ever did for the channel. So it really didn't commit to a clear angle and it tried to cover too much ground without a real point of view. This time around, I want to actually answer one specific honest question instead, and I think that's a much better use of your time than a generic overview trying to cover everything. So let's talk combat because I think the actual gameplay is generally satisfying blend of third-person melee and ranged combat. You're playing as Titus, a space marine cutting through overwhelming number of Tyranids, and the combat is going to have real weight to it. Chainsword strikes feel brutal, executions are pretty satisfying after clearing a tough wave, and switching between melee and ranged on the fly to manage different enemy types is absolutely going to keep the combat from ever feeling. You will be managing armor and health separately, and melee kills will help replenish that armor, which creates this constant push to stay aggressive rather than playing purely defensive. The risk reward loop is honestly one of the best parts of the whole combat system, and it makes even repeated horde counters feel tense rather than repetitive. Let's talk about the enemy design and scale, as it does deserve real credit specifically for how it handles scale. Early missions are going to throw genuinely overwhelming number of smaller Tyranid enemies at you, and there's something pretty satisfying about a single Space Marine cutting through dozens of them in a single encounter without it ever feeling cheap or unearned. Later missions will introduce much larger, more dangerous enemy types that force you to completely change your approach, backing off from the horde clearing mindset into something closer to a focused, patient fight. That variety is going to keep combat encounters from ever blurring together. You're never quite sure whether the next room is going to be a crowd control puzzle or a one-on-one war of attrition, and the game paces that unpredictability well across the whole campaign. A handful of specific encounters generally stuck with me well after finishing the game, which isn't something I can say about every action campaign that I've ever played. When you think about weapon variety and loadout, there's also a solid variety of weapons and loadouts available across the campaign, even before you factor in the deeper customization tied to the multiplayer progression system. Different ranged weapons will handle very differently. Some were built for crowd control against smaller enemies, others hit hard against single tough targets, and pairing the right ranged option with your melee weapon of choice generally is going to change how a mission plays out. It's not an overwhelming amount of choice, but it's enough to keep things feeling fresh without turning into a menu management exercise. And when you think about the story and atmosphere, if you're at all familiar with the Warhammer 40K universe, this campaign leads hard into that grim, over the top aesthetic, and it does it really well. The set pieces are generally cinematic, massive scale battles, oppressive atmosphere, a story that takes itself seriously in exactly the way this universe is supposed to. Even if you've never touched Warhammer 40K lore before, the campaign does a reasonable job of dropping you into the world without requiring homework first. Titus himself is a compelling enough lead, carrying real weight from first game story without requiring you to play it. The pacing also keep things moving well, and there aren't many dead spots where the story drags before getting back to combat. There's also a genuine sense of scale to some of the later missions it's worth calling out, specifically moments where the camera pulls back to show you the true size of the conflict that you're a small part of. Entire cityscapes under siege, capital ships looming overhead. It's the kind of visual spectacle that photo mode and cinematic replay value alone almost justifies sitting through, even setting aside the gameplay itself. And when I think about why Space Marine 2 fits my single player channel outlook, here's why it earned its spot under the new direction of the channel. The campaign is a complete, self contained experience, no live service pressure, no ongoing content treadmill that you need to keep up with. No multiplayer skill wall you need to climb if that's not your thing. You can play through it entirely solo at your own pace, and once it's done, it's done. That respects a busy schedule in exactly the way that I keep coming back to on this channel. The mission structure also breaks down into reasonably sized chunks, which is going to work well for shorter sessions. You're not locked into a single unbroken multi-hour stretch to make meaningful progress the way that some open world games will demand. Each mission has a clear beginning and end, usually landing somewhere in the 45-minute to hour-long range, which is going to fit a limited evening window or morning window without leaving you stuck mid-encounter when you need to step away. And unlike the co-op and PvP modes, there's no pressure to coordinate schedules with anybody else, no matchmaking wait times, no risk of getting stuck mid-mission because a teammate disconnected. It's just you at whatever hour you actually got free, working through a genuinely well-crafted single-player story at your own pace. And as always, let's talk about my honest gripe. The campaign alone is generally short, somewhere around 8 to 10 hours, depending on your difficulty and how thoroughly you're going to explore each mission. If you're paying full price purely for the single player experience and have zero interest in the co op or PvP modes, the cost per hour match here is real consideration. A lot of what you're paying for is baked into content this review is not going to cover. To be fair, what's there is genuinely well crafted. This isn't padded or repetitive filler. It's a tight, well paced 8 to 10 hours, but tight and short are two sides of the same coin. And if raw hours of entertainment per dollar is a priority for you, this isn't going to compete with something like Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3 on that specific metric. My honest advice, if you're strictly here for the single player campaign and nothing else, wait for a sale. This becomes a much easier recommendation once the price drops, since you're not paying full price for content you are deliberately not going to touch. One more honest note, difficulty spikes are real on the higher settings, and a couple of the later encounters demand real precision with the parry and dodge mechanics. If you're coming in wanting something more relaxed, stick to the standard difficulty rather than pushing for a harder mode just to prove something. There were a couple of encounters late in the campaign that took me several attempts to get through cleanly, and while that's satisfying once you clear it, it's worth knowing going in that this isn't going to be a pure, breezy, mindless action experience the whole way through. There's also a genuine question of replay value worth being honest about. Once you've finished the campaign, there isn't going to be a ton pulling you back to it specifically, since New Game Plus options and difficulty variety only are going to stretch things so far. The real long term replayability in this game lives in the co op and the PvP modes, which again, this review is deliberately going to set aside. If replayability matters a lot to you, factor that into the value equation, honestly. So when we think about Space Marine 2, here's going to be my honest verdict. Taken purely as a single player experience, Space Marine 2's campaign is generally well made. Tight combat, strong atmosphere, a story that's going to respect the source material, and a self contained structure that fits a busy schedule without any live service pressure attached. It is the only thing I do see, it is going to be short for the asking price, especially if that's all you're planning to play. Here's going to be my honest recommendation. If you can catch this game on sale, this is an absolutely easy yes for me, as you are going to guarantee a satisfying single player weekend. At full price, though, purely for the campaign alone, it is going to be more of a cautious recommend. Either way, don't feel like you're going to be missing out by skipping the co-op and the PvP side, especially if that's generally not your thing. The campaign, I can tell you, completely holds up on its own. You are not going to be shortchanged on story or gameplay quality just because you're ignoring the multiplayer half of the package. Now, one final note compared to some of the other bigger single player picks we've covered recently, this one is going to be a different kind of value proposition entirely. It is shorter, punchier, more focused, rather than that sprawling dozens of hours of experience something like Elden Ring might offer you as the gamer. If you made it to the end of the video, I do want to thank you. And if you're also a fellow busy gamer like myself looking for honest single player takes, subscribe, ring the bell, new verdicts every Tuesday and Saturday. Also, let me know down in the comments as I try to read every single one, campaign only, or are you also dive into the co op side? Either way, remember, hit F5, reset, reload. I am F5 Dad. I'll see you on the next video.